What's up? Back at you with another video. Colonel Chris Wyatt has Kumalo. You know about Kumalo. I did a video about him. There's a kind of guy that he is. And after I did my video about him, about the toilet humor, about the sexual content, sexual humor that is mixed with grape in there were a number of people who came in defending him. And when they were defending him, I could sense the kind of defense that men are making. I'm a man. You see, some believe that I am a guy who is not from a township, who is not a local. I guess they got deceived by this English that I speak over here. Some thought that I don't quite understand Tsotsital, I don't understand township lingo, and so they pretty much just left out what the context of the video was and just jumped onto saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. Ike is talking in Kasi lingo, which I wouldn't be clued up to because I'm a suburban raised white boy. I don't know, man. Listen, man. The other camp who came defending Ike are those who are saying that this is some locker room talk. You see, this is how boys talk, you know. And hearing that, I realized that, oh, Ike is also a Trump lover. And Trump is that guy who got recorded speaking hush hush in the background about being a star. If you're a star, if you're somebody who's up above, you get to grab women by the pussy.
You defended the comments that you made on that Access Hollywood tape about being able to grab women how you want. Do you stand by those comments?
I said if you're famous and rich or whatever I said, but I said if you're a star.
And so realizing Ike and the humor that he has for smashing and slapping, you know, the use of a dick, you know, the grabbing of a cat, I realized that, of course, this would merge. These ideas are the same.
Uyashaya uyakhosa amakhankeni lawo mali shaya inkawu ziyandlula boboyiti bobonanga shaya inkawu ziyandlula bafethu.
Same WhatsApp group. And so now Colonel Chris Wyatt has got him here, and let's see what reason Colonel Chris Wyatt felt to bring Ike Khumalo over here.
Folks, good morning. It's Ike Khumalo. He and I have had some communications challenges back and forth, linking up here, but here we are tonight. It's midnight here on the East Coast. It's 6 a.m. Ike's kind of a busy fellow. So many people ask me to interview Ike Kumalo. I'm like, look, I know a lot of Kumalos, but I don't know Ike. I understand he's an attorney. So Ike, good morning to you. How you doing over there in South Africa?
No, I'm good. I'm not complaining, sir.
All right. Well, I'm all right. It's other than the fact
refers to him as sir. You can tell here the power dynamics. The Negro is bowing down. I am suspecting that Ike here is going to be bowing. What is it? Is it proselytizing? When somebody is showing their conversion, when somebody is now taking the belief, the religion, you know, he's gonna be going in that direction, and I'm sensing some signs of it over there.
it's midnight here, and I don't get much sleep these days. Donald Trump's keeping me quite busy.
Yeah. I love Trump, man. You know, when Trump left office.
So of course, they would have discussed what they were going to discuss, but Wyatt being the host, he should have led Ike into this nicely. You understand? Should have led him nicely into, this is our discussion. So let's talk about Trump. What do you think about Trump? Or maybe this is the way that they decided to say, I'll hand it over to you. I don't want to look like I am inviting you to give praises to Trump. You'll just take it up all by yourself. I don't want anyone to seem like I am coaxing you or recruiting you. You are just going to show to everybody that you're a Trump lover, and then you'll take the conversation from there and tell us how much you love Trump and get on your knees and kiss his ring, etc., etc.
During his first term, I said that the Americans, they're gonna miss him. They're gonna miss him because he was trying to save the country, you know, against the international forces, against the globalists. So he's my man. I love him.
Well, I got to tell you, Ike, I to be honest, the first time around, and I was a Trump skeptic because I followed Trump his entire life, his, apprentice show, his businessman time. He was like pro-abortion at one stage in his life. But what I didn't understand about Trump is that Trump is a smart guy from a standpoint that when he was in a system, he understands how to work in that system. And he was in New York, which is a Democratic left-leaning city. And there's certain things he had to go along with. But his true character came out when he became president the first time. I voted for him in 2016, but he wasn't my candidate. I voted for him, not enthusiastically. In 2020, I was all in. I voted for Trump completely because I saw the man did what he said he was going to do. And this time around, no hesitation whatsoever. I'll tell you, there's never been a president who works harder than this guy, takes no salary, and he works longer than I do. I work 15, 18 hours a day, and he works that many hours. That's why I got to be up all the time. I got to keep up with the stuff he's doing. He's keeping South Africa hopping, isn't he? People lose their mind over there over Trump.
Yeah, they misunderstand him, man. They misunderstood him earlier on because, we've got the woke community here. So the moment Trump said he's going to close the border.
You see? So some people are being labeled woke. Some are clever blacks. Some are stupid blacks. Those who love Trump will be considered sane and proper. And those who oppose Trump are said to be woke. And he's using key phrases that will heighten the curiosity of the Americans to say, hey, I'm not one of the people who is woke, etc. But were you able to listen to the things that he said as a woman? Those in the ANC, those women that he spoke about, and he said that they got raped in exile. He likes to speak about rape
from exile.
In such a manner that suggests he doesn't see that as a heinous, ugly thing.
Yeah. In every war, women are raped.
Yeah.
Germans, they were raped by the Soviets. They said 2 million
Even
Germans.
the Americans,
2 million Germans were. Those are laws of war that are not written down. Forget the Geneva Convention because they are told, kill the morale of these guys, rape their women, Imagine amasoja mfethu. Abana amasoja mfethu kasi mfethu anwenza ama dance challenge mfethu anogenza so. Manje ke lesasegoma ziyathula zababheka. Zibabophile kunenyawo ukuthi bikhala no no my wife is in DRC, they've been arrested by the rebels. Ngithi hey bayidli medalo. Yabo ifana nale no problem. Like ngeke ngabamba omunye umntwana.
Do you stomach them? Do you digest them? How do you feel about listening to that? If he's on the right, you're going to side with him irrespective of how he does not sound like a conservative man of family values. Just because he says Trump. I'm really thinking to create an industry plant myself. Somebody who will be talented. Somebody that we will run a right-wing grift with. By the way, there's a video that has been trending on the internet lately. It's a video about how to become a right-wing grifter. So somebody, literally a YouTube creator, goes out and rebrands themselves. They just decide on a particular day that I'm now going to be a right-wing commentator. I'm going to be somebody who's pro-Trump. I'm going to go to the rallies and I'm just going to show how easy it is to make people believe that I am somebody who's pro-Trump.
I'm going to take a wild guess and assume that this isn't your first time on the internet. I'm also going to assume that during your time on this big, beautiful invention we call the World Wide Web, you've probably come across a grifter before. As a quick refresher, a grifter is defined as a person who engages in a small-scale petty scam. Well, in today's modern and politically charged world, these scammers, swindlers, and con men have taken on a new, more lucrative form. And a lot of them just so happen to be conservatives.
But I can safely say I have never felt more optimistic about the United States.
Really intervened, like we need this guy to come back in and make America great again.
But let me know your honest thoughts.
I think it's incredible.
Ted, Trump knows there's plans to kill me. One of my favorite things Trump has ever said.
Seems like just about everyone and their dog is grifting their way through this mass cultural right-leaning vibe shift. And with all of these people wanting to profit and get their hands on a slice of this big right-wing pie, I thought it'd be helpful to walk you through exactly how to pull this off. So today, we're gonna go through my 12 essential steps. And by the end of this video, you too will have all the tools necessary to grift some right-wingers. Don't worry, folks. It's not as hard as you'd think. And today, I'm gonna show you how to become a conservative grifter.
And I will show you how gullible people on the right are to somebody who just comes saying, hey, I'm pro-Trump, I'm pro-Jesus, I'm anti-abortion. All of these things, you can really take advantage of people if you come singing the song that their ears are itching to hear. And it sounds like Ike here is being introduced to some people who need to understand him like this.
People went mad. But this is what exactly that we are facing here in South Africa, because majority of the foreigners who are coming from all African countries and Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, they come to South Africa because they say South Africa is the America of Africa, you know. They say we are the USA. So now our people cannot cope because you have to absorb everyone, you know, from Ethiopia, Nigeria.
So he's going to be pro-deportation of illegal immigrants. And he's not pretending to be that. He was and is known for his time in Dudula, in Soweto. As Nhlanhla Lux was coming up, his face was also showing, you know, in the interviews. And then he looked like somebody who wanted to make a name, a career for himself. And I've been watching him since. I've watched him since he got interviews on TV, and I saw him get glued to being called to interviews. I started seeing him now on TikTok being a red pillar, a macho man. I could see where he was starting to fill the blanks so that he remains relevant. Besides what he talks about in his profession and his commentary on old musicians, old politicians, old times, and taking us deep down on trips of his anecdotes and nostalgia for the days when apartheid was nice. Have you ever heard that? You ever heard that?
People come here, so that's why maybe my politics and Trump's politics are almost, you know, aligned. And I could not understand, you know, the propaganda that was spilled against him when we told that Trump is racist. But I said, here's a guy, you know, he was with Michael Jackson. You know, when Michael Jackson was accused of horrible crimes, he was with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson says he made a lot of money when he was managed by Trump. And so,
ladies and gentlemen, do you know that there are people who are extraordinarily rich? There's a richness where even providing for the people of the other race is something that you can do for the optics. You can virtue signal when you have a lot of money. There are people who will sponsor or donate a lot of money to universities, and their names will be on the donor list. They will have wings of the university named after them. And you find that those people do that and appear to be good citizens who are loving, but carry and harbor grotesque racism in their hearts. There are men who can be pastors and have a diverse church with black people and white people and Indians, and that man may still be racist. I'm not lying. This is the testimony of Pastor Art Boshoff, whom I also picked up and did a video on when he went on Buiseni Ndlozi's show. He did say that he would be preaching, but racism would still be in his heart.
So my journey out of racism, and I want to say that because it is a journey, wasn't just when I got saved. I got saved, got spirit-filled, spoke in tongues, went to church, raised my hands, but racism was still in me. And the journey out of racism was, part of that was the military camps I did. Another part, which was very important, is mission work I did.
So when Kumalo is trying to show you some nice thing, some nice event on behalf of a black person that a white person went to, you have to understand that that is a thing that white people in the United States are actually known to use to dispel any suspicion that they might be racist. That country there is predominantly white, and white people can go for a long time without really having much acquaintances with the black people, and they enter echo chambers, and somewhere, somehow in social circles, it becomes a taboo to be seen, to only associate with white people, to look like you're shy of. So you go and befriend or speak to a black person, and you speak about how you have black friends, other black friends, because that's kind of the only way out of that predicament. I don't know, man. What what other reason do you give to say that you're not a racist other than I'm married to a black woman? Do you know that there are white men who will have a black woman as a fetish, as a little slave, because they are living out stories that are known about white masters on plantations and the black women. So what I'm saying there, don't listen to Ike telling you about Trump helping out Michael Jackson or helping out Mike Tyson. Trump is the one who took out a full front page. There are those boys who were accused of a crime that occurred in Central Park. There's a movie that even came out about them recently. They went on to become exonerated as older men. And when the crime occurred, Trump bought the first page or the first and second page to point to those boys as the black murderous, delinquent young boys who murdered a white young woman.
You better believe that I hate the people that took this girl and raped her brutally. You better believe it.
Yeah, like, Ipande, Yeah, they ran a train on her. They've run a train numerous times on that woman.
And it's more than anger, it's hatred. And I want society to hate him.
So, man, Ike is really trying to play here, but let's give him an opportunity.
Opposed to when he was managed by one of his own, who's this guy with the big
Don
afro?
King. Don King with the big afro.
Yeah, but he made more money when he was with Donald Trump as opposed to Don King. So he was always seen, around celebrities, especially black in particular.
You see, it's the whole celebrity framing of mind. If you listen to Ike Kumalo, he constantly refers to R&B artists, he's that old school Denzel Washington, that black actor, Lisa Mare, Mang Presley, etc., etc., Lionel Richie, those kind of people. So you can hear that he's quite thin on justifications he can give for Donald Trump, and his mind is just naturally going back to where it's strongest at, and that is Trump's affiliation with black celebrities in the past, etc. Show business.
All of a sudden, when the man becomes president or when he's campaigning, he becomes an enemy. I could not understand that. But I said, especially black people in America, they're going to miss him the most, when he left office. So I'm glad that the man is back.
Well, Ike, when Trump was president that first term, black Americans reached a record level of income, average income, as compared to other Americans, other ethnic groups. They had the highest savings rate in a century for black families. The diamond or the platinum plan he was putting together for investment in inner city communities. He gave more money to historically black colleges and universities than anyone in history, over $500 million. And yet he's portrayed as a racist. His cabinet, this one, not so many black folks in it, but that first cabinet was full of black Americans. And it doesn't matter what Trump does, they're going to lie about him. Like you said.
Why doesn't he have the black people this time? It's especially telling because now he's gone after the minorities. He's gone to say no more DEI, no more diversity, equity, and inclusion. So you've just said something important there about Trump and who he is right now. But because you're with Ike, he's somebody who likes to tell you tales of old. It's his style, it's his theme. When you're listening to him, man. So Colonel Chris Wyatt there is starting to vibe with it a little bit, but he exposed there that Trump is not who you're trying to convince people that he is. You can only convince people by referring to the old Trump. Don't try to make excuses for the current one because you can't. He hates people like yourself. If Trump was to look at Ike Kumalo right there, right now, man, he'd say a racial slur indeed. Look how black Ike is compared to Chris Wyatt over there.
That his friends were all these black celebrities, all these poor black folks. He built low-income housing. He also built ritzy golf clubs. He built everything across the board for rich and poor. And Trump was, he's so mischaracterized. It's if it wasn't so sad, it would be funny.
I mean, taking into account that the people who are coming, from Latin American states coming to America, they're competing with blacks for blue-collar jobs, for low-income earning jobs. So they're displacing, black people mainly in particular. And and majority of them, when you open your border, you don't attract the skills that you wanted. Primarily, you start getting, the undesirables.
What point was Ike trying to make? This conversation is not coherent. He's saying that the Latin Americans, they in America are doing better than the blacks, referring to what? Colonel Chris Wyatt just ending off his comment about Trump giving privileges to all of these other people. Is Ike saying that the blacks are now squandering it? What is he saying about the black people in America exactly? Is he on the same theme of constantly putting black people below other races? Are we looking at an Uncle Ruckus right here, ladies and gents?
Like here in South Africa, one politician said, when you open your window at night, summertime for a fresh air, not only the fresh air that comes inside your car, but also the mosquito. So, but unfortunately, the people who are coming to America, like, Venezuelan gangs, the Mexican gangs, drug dealers, those are not people that you want to attract. You want to attract scarce skills, and where you don't have scarce skills, you start building with your own people and look outside when you fail to get to scarce skills. So for me, I could not understand the hatred that the man was facing, but, I'm glad that he's back. And the man, there's one thing about the guy, he loves his country, and how many times do you have someone who says, I'm going to do ABC, and he actually does that, even the first term, of which he's putting all the politicians to shame, because most of the time the politicians, they're telling us about the procedure, parliamentary procedure, this takes time. Yes, Trump becomes, he says, I'm taking Panama.
Or Greenland.
Look at how a black man and a white man are both laughing about colonization, neo-colonialism, taking over territories in 2025 and onwards. In this current situation where there's tensions out in the desert between the Jews and the Palestinians, where there are people being accused of being settlers who have come in, claimed a place and removed people. I've seen an actual video of a family getting moved out of their own house and some guys suddenly moving in. I was hearing about this broadly until I watched a documentary. It was actually a documentary on Christian white nationalism, or white Christian nationalism, which is the same as what Afrikaners have in South Africa in the form of the Dutch Reformed Church. It's a supremacist reading of the Bible. It's a reading of the Bible where people desire to see themselves as the chosen ones. So it's not just the Jews who claim to be God's chosen people. Even the ones who are circular right now living in Israel, they believe that they are God's chosen people going to hell. There's also Afrikaners who are Christian nationalists over here, and there's said to be Jewish nationalists, Zionists, who are occupying a territory that does not belong to them. I'm just telling you how things are really on the Palestine Gaza situation. I'm not properly squarely clued up, but I am quickly learning. So from the little that I do know, I am hearing men here laughing about occupying a territory that does not belong to you, i.e. apartheid, i.e. present day Israel, in fresh memory of the colonization that took place across the African continent. You've got Kumalo there and Colonel Chris Wyatt laughing like McG and Sol Penduka. Amazing. While people are dying over these kind of issues. While Russia has invaded Ukraine, they're laughing about Trump taking Canada, taking Greenland, talking about being a president for the third term. Signs of a totalitarian antichrist. Somebody wants to be a Vladimir Putin. They are laughing about men like that.
It makes sense, I don't know what is it that don't make sense, because you said we built the damn thing. We lost 8,000 men, and now they're giving it to China, and they're charging America the highest. So it's unacceptable.
Did he say we lost it?
We lost 8,000 men. So I wish here in South Africa we could, also attach countries like Lesotho, Swaziland, and Zimbabwe, because they're giving us a problem. These countries, they get voted, their leaders.
He will say that about Lesotho because recently Trump said that Lesotho is a country that nobody has ever heard of. So he's demeaning Lesotho to really go down on his knees, go flat on his stomach and show Trump that I will say anything.
But they send their people to South Africa for social grants. They send their people to South Africa for jobs, for everything. So these countries, they're basically non-existent, So I wish you could do the same, attach them.
Oh, this conversation. How do you feel about it so far? Has this been a constructive, engaging situation? Has this been exchanging pleasantries? Let's laugh together over a beer. Let's be friends. Let's ingratiate. Play nice. It's ridiculous.
Annex them all.
Well, the problem with that, of course, Ike, is that the politics in South Africa are batshit crazy, brother. I mean, absolutely crazy. I mean, look, let's get into that. Before we get into that, though, because not everybody in my audience knows who Ike Kumalo is. I just briefly introduced you as an African attorney, but I have an audience from around the world, although lately, because of the refugee program, my audience has become much more South African. So it used to be about 50% South Africans, about 80% at the moment, but we still have a lot of people from the UK, from the US, from Canada, from New Zealand, Australia, Japan, China, around the world who watch the program. So can you just briefly tell us a little bit about who Ike Kumalo is, other than the fact that you're wearing that Jack Sparrow style hat? What's up with that?
Like, what's up with the hat? Really, man? Off to the side. Oh, brother, how awful it is to age without the Lord, man. Is it a midlife crisis? Mr. Chris Wyatt, do you know that Ike is a man who encourages older men to have sex with women who have not had sex yet, with virgins?
Steve Harvey, imagine you are a multi-millionaire like Stephen Harvey, probably a billionaire in South African standard. Ulando munye umuntu oshawa amabhantita amaningi unengosi nale. In fact, if you are Stephen Harvey, you only sleep with virgins. If you are Will Smith at that stage, mina mfethu ngashama chichi.
And I asked him the question, what about young boys, the ones who should actually be wearing the cap the way that you're wearing in order to attract a mate? But I urged them boys to keep themselves well, keep themselves pure, and marry a woman, not flirt with a cap. Don't look like this, actually. Don't do none of that. I'm just asking the question, Mr. Wyatt. How do you stomach that? Let's laugh. Let's see.
Usually by 2 a.m. Mama. So today, I don't know, for whatever reasons, I just woke up and I checked the clock and I'm looking at the time. It says 5:30. Then I says I'm late. I normally sleep 4 hours, but today, I don't know. I woke up and I said quickly, I don't like wearing the cap, but I've got an afro. So I've got to prepare it in time, and wash it quickly. So usually when I left my room, I take a shower quickly. Today, I made an exception.
So what you're saying, Ike, is you're having a bad hair day this early in the morning.
Yeah, I'm image conscious, so I feel a bit ashamed because I usually prepare myself. I just take.
Well, listen, brother. Listen, when you're devastating and handsome like the two of us are, we don't have to worry about it, man. It just comes natural. You're okay. Don't sweat it.
Colonel Chris Wyatt, you are handsome. Yeah, you are called a silver fox. You all know Bonta Tebale. They're on your screen right now. Colonel Chris Wyatt could kill that. He would own the ladies. Ike claims to be a man of the ladies. He says that he's got a demon, which is a love for women.
Let me say this. Bafethu, kunadating abathi. Let me say it in English. But bengifuna ukuyibeka ngesidakhi man. Yabo, once an addict, always an addict. They normally say once a prostitute will always be a prostitute. If you've been an addict, be it drug addiction, alcohol, you fight every day. I didn't understand it. When you find out vele mfethu, yabona monganya abantwana, if you love the honeys, like me na so, sometimes you must know your diagnosis. This is our problem so that you can solve it and acknowledge it. Like me, so I love beautiful women. I have always loved, beautiful women. And beautiful women in return, they love me too. It's like they can spot me from multitudes. Like a demon. A demon knows another demon. They look, for you. They search and then they say that one.
Colonel Chris Wyatt, are you into the ladies as well?
The ladies are watching. It's good to go, brother. You're all right.
But every South African who grew up in the late 70s, 80s, I grew up as that kid, was always politically aware, political conscious.
Ladies and gents, you go and watch this on Colonel Chris Wyatt's channel. We've had 9 minutes so far. This is a 1 hour, 41-minute interview. At least I've brought you into this so far. The tone has been set. You all know who you're dealing with Ike. And prediction for the future, I think Ike is going to be joining the Patriotic Alliance. And I think he's being given an audience locally. He's being propped up by the Colonel Chris Wyatt, being given a YouTube audience in the United States. Because like I told you, this is content, yeah? So as they are featuring one another, or as Chris Wyatt is hosting him, they are cross-pollinating, exchanging each other with, an audience. So Ike Khumalo is going to have a subscribership suddenly go up of Americans, and he will start to strike the audience over there. As he dumps rubbish about the country where he lives, he will then put up his hand and say, I am now joining a political party. I am now going to be doing something. And he will have long been getting his publicity up, thanks to the help of publicists like Colonel Chris Wyatt over there, who are doing absolute magic. I can see the plan going on here. I will see you next time. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.